Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome back. A final speaker of Stream 2 today, Mr. Geoff Thonon. So this is what I love about AusCERT, because you get to just hang out with friends, and shame that I can't be up in Brisbane amongst human beings like, but COVID is COVID. So without further ado, I will hand it off to Geoff, who is although he behind policy documents, working an incident, or writing a process flow diagram, being provided the duties of AusCERT manager, and I can definitely attest to he has a fantastic team that works under him. From AusCERT, Geoff liaises with like-minded computer emergency response teams for the purpose of creating a safe, clean, and reliable cyberspace through global collaboration. So he's going to be talking about phishing, or is it known by any other nastier name? Over to Geoff, studio there, and we can see perfectly clear. Thank you very much, Geoff. Take it away.
Thank you for the afternoon session. Friday afternoon is usually very, very hard to go through, and I hope I can entertain you, because you know what, phishing, have you heard of it beforehand? Yes, you have. Do you know how to handle it? Yes, you probably do. But I was asked to do a bit of a presentation, and you know what? Phishing is what we do on a daily basis. So that's what we're going to be talking about. But I will be extending it a little bit more, because what phishing really entails. So what is it? Where it's going to go? What can happen from phishing? So I will move it a little bit further. Yeah, there's also, it depends on what you're looking at, and it's can take another name if you wanted to, and we were going to do that. Particularly is going to investigate pretty much what other names you could call it, so that we have the right mind frame to be able to see what phishing does and what it entails to your organization, and also yourself in personal life, because you know what, they don't discriminate in pretty much of the organizations or not. Also want to talk about the fact that, yes, on AusCERT website, we also talk about phishing takedowns, but there's a whole lot more that we do. As the introduction also talks, there's a whole lot more that we do in behind the scenes. But also, let's not talk about what we do, but what could be done or needs to be done in the back of the scenes. So don't worry about what AusCERT really does. It's what can be done. So I just really want to be able to start into what phishing entails for an individual. What could we call it? What else could we call it? Phishing. Okay, no problems. Yeah, well, we call it fraudulent. Someone's trying to take trying to take the identity of someone else and to be able to make you do something else. That's usually done as well. You possibly tailor the message around and then send it over to, let's say, to a large person, whaling campaign. That's okay. Spoofing, okay. Tricking. We're all trying to invoke pretty much all these emotions out instead of just phishing. Okay, it could be just, you could call it malicious, you could call it cheating, you could call it preying, you could abusing, fooling, nasty. Nastier by any other name. Yes, it could be. Well, let's have a look at what happens for the organization itself as well. Okay, because phishing is nice, but what about the objective for the organization? Okay, so sorry, there was a bit of a delay, that's all. For an organization, well, you could say, well, it's trespassing. You get into an organization because you went through and did some phishing by collecting the credentials and then going through. Yes, it's a little bit more extended than what we just talked about. Perhaps you have a concept of phishing is just that email, but perhaps there's a little bit more to it, and that's how come we're doing this presentation. Thieving, impersonating, destruction of property, stealing, infringement, ripping off. Now, when you go through these words, phishing, well, phishing sounds a bit benign. Sort of like, it's okay, it's fine. You don't have to worry about it. It's called phishing. Well, no, really, it's nasty. It's really nasty. We just try to trivialize it so we can do a conversation in front of the board or whoever we're going to talk to be able to sort of like calm them down. Hey, okay, we're taking care of phishing. But in the background, saying, we've lost our credentials. We got to take care of it. That would freak out people on the board. But if you say we're taking care of phishing and we're seeing who's going to be, who is going to interact with phishing, it's better than seeing which staff is going to actually send their username and password at the door. We try to trivialize it because we try to make a conversation out of it. Well, no, that's okay. We try to debase what phishing really is. When we try to make fun of it a little bit, we marginalize it as well. And also, you know what? We also use it as user training. And we provide a management report of seeing how many people would actually put in those things. We actively put and fish our own stuff. Mind you, there's also the caveat of you have to be able to be okay and not be in legal trouble, have to tell them that, hey, hang on, we're going to be phishing you, which sort of like defeats the purpose of what we're going to be doing, because the bad guys don't. They just go, okay, let's go, let's do it. We've got a whole stack of people, throw it out, and really attractive email too. So we actually use it for user training, which is kind of weird because, you know, what I would expect, I mean, these are my own thoughts and thoughts I'd like to be able to share, to be able to change ideas. It's not the thoughts of any organization or whatever, maybe it's just things I'm going to be sharing. So user training, perhaps that's not the only thing. Yeah, so throughout the slide, actually, perhaps that's the disclaimer I should put at the start, is what I'm going to be able to show you and or talk to you about is and walk you through is pretty much some thoughts and some ideas that you may want to integrate when you hear about phishing. So if a takeaway from this particular talk, you go, oh, when you hear phishing, you start going shivers down your spine, then I have succeeded. Because, well, we'll do an extrapolation, what if situation, and see how it would look like. So what really is it used for? It's to get to the organization and then to spread stuff through the organization and from the organization. Why? Because, hey, look, even if you are super tight, okay, sorry, the screen went a little bit weird, that's okay. Even if you are super protected, okay, and you've got whatever you need to protect yourself, and it's okay, you still are vulnerable for phishing from an organization that you know. You're going to whitelist it. If you stop it at that level, you're going to be able to have interactions with that organization, but they got phished, they got credentials, and then they're sending emails from their organization to you. Yeah, and if it's an in conversation, you're going to click it. It's be able to spread coming through. So MITRE has got a bit of a section, and here are some good words. Recon, it's weaponized. Perhaps they're trying to figure out who else to hop from you. You're not the target. The next one is your supplier, your clients. And weaponize, deliver, exploit, control, execute. Well, we'll talk about that perhaps. Okay. So what's in a fish? Well, there's a lot of things, a lot of different types of fish, and it's hard to be able to just talk about. Yes, we think about the phishing of credentials as the only time, but if you think about it, okay, no problems. I get a fish, I get an email, business email compromise. I get something to get credentials. You've got, it can be done by a URL or a militia that you send through. Or you can ask for an email and just ask for credentials that way. There's a different mode. So what we're going to be doing is going through different types of different modes, and where perhaps you can stop it. Okay. The first one, I call it nothing but mail. That's it. Okay. Just trying to send information to a person, just to get them to react at least. Perhaps to use it for other means. Hey, hang on, this person has responded, it's got an email trace, you put that email trace and then you send it to someone else. Even the most mundane piece of information can be used for further attacks. So that's it. Or it could be just transfer some money. I mean, because there's a prince that needs to be helped out and he has to move a lot of gold. But hey, anyway, doesn't matter. So how do we stop it? Well, there's a few things that we can do, and it really depends on a whole lot of goodwill and whether it breaks the terms of service of the people taking care of the domain registrar. Well, have a look at that and say, look, well, this domain is up. It doesn't perhaps have a website particularly. It just sends strange emails that looks like And the domain looks like the real organization trying to be fraudulent and try to get that person to react at least. You have mail server, finally, and because of the host. Having a look at the actual content itself. Why? Because it's useful. Share that information around. This is the pattern that they're using. And perhaps if you share it to the right people who understand what to do with it, they go, okay, fair enough. I can filter all the emails that come through that look like this. I saw it on the internet. Well, if it's on the internet, it should be true, right? Okay, so anyway, mail server, you've got domain registrar, you've got a website host, but what's different about this is that there's actually an interaction, okay? So it's not just sending back an email. The person who's in it gets to interact with perhaps a fish page, that's good, or there is a link to a file host that downloads it. Well, you can have that in a couple of ways, okay? And download a malware. By all means, have a look at it, you know. You can do the domain registrar, the website host, mail server, and file host. How you can do it? Well, you just send an email and say, hey, please, this is kind of weird. Please take it down. And you always have to lean on the fact that it is a term of service they have, because you know what, it could not, perhaps it's not in Australia. Generally, it's not, okay, especially if trying to be stealthy. They actually are cross-jurisdiction. By the time you get officers and authorities on it, you know what, they've already done their deed and they're walking out with a big grin. So what you need to do is you need to be able to react really, really fast and be able to ask them to take down. And generally, what you do is you start asking nicely and then persuading, and you could go through the people who host and then the CERT of the country that people host, and then do it over again, because perhaps on the first email they haven't got the idea that you should take it down. So there is a whole lot of persistence as well that we need to be able to do to be able to bring these infrastructure down. Okay, and that's what we were trying to do. So I saw it on the internet. The next type is Christmas comes early. Well, guess what? Well, you get that phishing email. It's got a malware attached. Okay, no problems. It gets installed into your there because you've enabled macro. And then it talks to a file host and then installs more bugs. Oh my goodness gracious me. And then that's it. It talks to a C2 server, a command and control server. And your organization becomes a platform. Okay. This starts with a fish, starts with, in a sense, the email that comes in through. It's business email compromise, yeah, sure enough. But we need to handle, because it goes through the same method. We need to do the same things, do a takedown. Please, infrastructure. So there's a whole lot of things that we need to handle, okay? Double quarter pounder with cheese, and this is the lot. It sounds unhealthy because this is unhealthy. So you got domain registrar, you send the email, goes through, file host, tries to get money out of it. Pretty much, I'll walk you through slowly. You get an email. It sounds like it's well crafted, okay, at the start. An email is crafted, and then someone actually interacts with it. Goes into it, clicks on it, and then it goes over and downloads, because you've clicked on it and you enabled micro, and downloads a malware. So you've got the file host taking care of, or the website host, and then it goes back to a C2 server and say, look, what do you want me to do? Well, it's okay, no problems. Don't do anything at this moment in time. Sit for a while, and then download another file, okay? Because perhaps people try to analyze it, and they sit there for quite a long time before they show you what they really do. And then it comes back and then it sits on your computer until you try to do some interactions with a bank, and then it takes the details. Well, perhaps there is a particular thing that does that. Yep, Emotet. So this is exactly what we're talking about, the double quarter pounder with cheeseburger. And you have the delivery. And I want you to concentrate pretty much on the items as well. Okay, there's delivery, bulk spam, and targeted email. How did they get the email addresses? Well, you say, it's a given, Geoff. It's a given, Geoff. But I want you to think about it a little bit later on. We're going to expand on it, especially with targeted emails in conversation and uses leaked attachments. It's trying to make and craft that that email in a certain way that you open that attachment or are able to interact with it. Okay, Emotet sends your computer to a different URL, does exactly what I would talk to you about. I've put in pretty much the containers that it tries to use, okay, whether it's a doc, an Excel, PDF, or just an embedded URL, just to get you to make sure you drops the Emotet malware, which is just a stepping stone to be able to then download a friend as such. It tries to do brute forcing left, right, and center, then tries to, there's another one that the TrackBot, let's say, communicates with C2 server, and it sits there and says, well, how else can we make money? Ransomware. Downloads, execute, and starts again. Okay. The simple fact is, and like I've put it at the bottom, attachment-based mail is always going to work. Perhaps that's why we use as a gauge to see whether users are going to be interacting with it, because they're always going to work. There's always going to be a report saying, yes, people have clicked on it. Yes, people will, because it'll happen over and again, especially when the email is well crafted. Okay, so it's pretty harsh. Now, the way we deal with it is trying to figure out a model out of it. Okay, what we've talked about, the double quarter pounder with cheese, is the fact that you know, there's an interaction between email, malware, and URL. Call it the EMU model, perhaps. Okay, and there is a model that we do use to be able to get our heads around it until we finished and got all the indication of compromises, at least the ones we want to continue on. But we, as also, we need to track them, or whoever's going to take care of them needs to track them. This is a bit of a task, and it has come to sometimes a frustration of going like, we have a tool, it doesn't do exactly what we want to, so one of our analysts has gone, no, I'm going to be a hero with this and code it. That's it. So one of the staff, again, I don't want to go into details, and that's how I come up with page details ... because this person may want to do some presentation next year, which is pretty close in May, about this particular tool. I don't know, but I don't want to put him on the spot. But what I really want to talk about is the fact that we need to track it and see whether the request that we made was working or not, and see if we have to resend another one. And here's the track of one of them that we've looked at, okay? Basically, kind of, it's there, it's kind of flickering a little bit, it's there, it flickers a little bit, again, with a 200, and then finally, it's down, okay? So we've got to bring it down as far as it. One particular request may not work all that well, okay? But this person who made this for us is okay. Perhaps it's a pretty big word right now. It's a hero, but really found a thing to do and put head down and know what we have as a tool beforehand is not good enough. We need to be able to put it, and starts making their own tool. Okay, think of it about let's say Batman making another tool for himself, another trick that he's got, another harpoon. Okay, and going like, that's it, and that's it. I want to be able to take care of this particular incident faster, better, easier, track it, so that we can do more with it, and then we can provide more information back about how fast these particular ISPs perhaps are reacting. But you know, I see heroes, and they're everywhere. It doesn't have to be just our staff. There's a whole lot of stuff happening. Let's go back to the Emotet one. Okay, Emotet, well, okay, fair enough. It's got different items and different interactions. I called it pretty much the double quarter pounder with cheese. It's the big one, okay? And so sophisticated that perhaps a whole lot of people went, uh-oh, we got to step up. We got to be the heroes. And we got to spend a bit of time together to be able to tell the community, hey, hang on, there's an issue. And they do. It's for Emotet, I mean, that's the one to look at this moment in time. It could change. It doesn't matter. I mean, heroes do get tired and move on to other things. Perhaps they get interested with other things. But again, there's a whole group of people who came together and went, nah, we got to stand up. We've got a mission to take. We've got a task to take on to protect who we think needs to be protected. And so they've post on as often as they can to be able to say, look, hang on, this is the indication of compromises that you're looking for. This is where you want to stop. This is when you look at the network and you got a phishing email that goes through. If there's network interaction and you see this particular website, clock it. And they're trying to keep as fast as possible because they're on a race. They realize they definitely are on a race. There's leagues of extraordinary cybersecurity personnel, okay? Whole groups of people who are leagues of themselves. Like this is just two of them who go on, who go, okay, fair enough, we need to protect the medical industry, okay? So then that's it, CDI League. You've also got another group who are, again, a non-profit organization registered as an Australian charity, okay, who are taking on that task of restoring the IDs of people, of helping out. Okay, so there again, there's a mission. We need to do it. There's no one else who's doing it. We've got to take it on our own task. There's something happening bad in this society. We need to be able to help it. That's the hero mentality. Okay. Fish. So what? Well, so let's learn from the educators. Let's have a look at what they've pretty much experienced as well. Okay. SANS has had a data breach, but I want to talk about the fact that they've actually handled it really well. Disclaimer. Yes, SANS is a sponsor of this particular conference, but no, I'm not trying to move it over and provide any attention. But actually, the educators have actually taken their incident and shared. They've realized that, hey, hang on, we have a duty to be able to then talk about it. Hit on 24th of July, okay? 4th of August, detect. 11th of August, reported. And they say, okay, fair enough, if 513 emails were forwarded, this is all from their the website, okay? 28,000 records of PII, email, work, first name, last name, you see that. But it was regarded as soft credentials. Yeah, okay, so it's not credentials for that organization. So this is where I step away from sounding as if it's all that good and great. Because I just talked about a whole group that ID care that takes care of people who lost their ID or item. Sure enough, it's not really hard stuff, but these credentials could be such as emails, work title, first name, last name, workplace, company, industry, address, and country of residence could be amassed into a database to be able to then further other attacks. Here's the thing. Perhaps what I'll do is I'll send an email saying, congratulations, you have a voucher from SANS. There's an email address, there's name. They are part of SANS, and I could possibly get that emotion of, yes, click action. Or please enable macros so that you can view this particular offer. Ouch. Now, I won't say it is from SANS, I'm saying it's from the attacker, but they use that particular information to go through. And what they've done for SANS is the right thing. Hey, be honest, be upfront, tell everybody as you can, pass the indication of compromise as soon as possible so that everybody understands what's happening. So, yes, if you do get a SANS offer, double check. Okay. So crafting an email, how do you do that? Well, I gave a bit of an idea. You try to get the person excited, but how do you go about crafting an email that is going to be successful? Okay, well, you invoke an emotion. That's it. You attack the layer rate. Yeah, okay, there's only 7 in the OSI model. Yes, but that's it. People is the next one. You're going to have technical controls as well as you want. You've got DKIM. You can have different DMARC, whatever you want to go. But at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get the person to be able to do something that they're not supposed to be doing. Enable macros. That's a big no-no. But it needs to be done. Perhaps it's because we also provide these loops, these hoops that we ask these people to go through, our users. You need to, yes, it is quarantined. You need to click to be able to, you need to click. Okay, so we get used to it. Anyway, invoking an emotion, any type of emotion. And how you need to do it? Well, you look at the person and their what they do, what they're interested in. A SANS voucher? Well, perhaps. Okay, it doesn't have to be that. It can be anything else. You get information, anything that they've done, or interest with a security tool. That'll get me. I'll have to double check. So, hey, new security tool, Geoff, check it out. And I'll be going, right, okay. That's an emotion. I'd be very happy. So yes, there's different emotions that you try to create. As long as you got one, you're done. But how do you get the information of who to send and what they're interested in? Social media, databases, whatever it may be, they're lying everywhere. And they're all for sale in one way or another, or public release. That's quite amazing too. So you're part of a third party. You've got an email address and that you link to. Perhaps they can also link your Hotmail account with your work mail account because you've shared it in a leaked database that provides that relationship. And then you can start providing that relationship database as well of people, not relational database, of people and what they like, what they do, where they work, what are their preferences, and then be able to then craft that email really nicely so you can fish and defraud them and get them to click. But hey, well, we'll see. So I was trying to figure out what would be a really good email to do, and I thought, well, thank you, social media, you did it for me. The gods have done it for me. And I thought, well, hang on, perhaps this will get people to click on it. DC Marvel's a Marvel. Now, I'm not going to go any further than that, apart from click here, and then the person will be interested to have a look at. So what can we do? Well, there's a few things we can do about it. Sure, you can do phishing takedowns. You can also do whack-a-mole. That's also a thing. But it comes to the person. It comes to layer 8. Okay, so we can do, I suppose, some awareness campaign. Something I'd like to push people towards through instead of try to see if they're going to click. Because you know what? 9%, 8%, you know, ballpark figure, they're going to click. So anyway, so just to make sure that it is that, what you can do is just put that money into better monitoring and seeing how it is. So the idea is to see whether it's an email, a bug URL, a phishing site. You see a master database and do a report on a monthly basis. Do that report and send it over to the security person who then makes that report and goes to the manager. And then to gently push the staff to say, look, hey, hang on, this is really important. The manager gets the report every month, not on that phishing campaign once off and that's it, haha, to prove that perhaps the way the training that happened with fish works. You know what? You tell them they're going to be fished, then you fish, then you give them training, then you do phishing again. There is going to be, at that moment in time, an improvement. But what about a couple of months down the track? Oh, well, never mind. So as long that may work to some organizations, as long as they've got a culture of being nice with each other. That's good. Another one you could do, you can incentivize them. You're going, I think I will be the hero because I'm the one who's detected. There you go. We can be heroes. We can tell your staff we can be heroes. Say, look, you're a hero. And if you're able to then click on that report as phishing, we'll get a copy. We can do that monitoring as well. And then you give them a prize. Don't make that prize too good, or else perhaps you'll have more fish on that organization. But anyway, just make it as if like a bragging rights of some kind. Okay, that'll be awesome. Get them to be part of the loop to be able to take care of it. Another one, which is really tricky, because it's a bit scary. It's a bit scary to make everybody heroes. Is empowerment. Empowerment to be able to have a look at when they get one. Okay, where is it? What is it? Is it from what I expected? And perhaps to show them some of the tricks and the tools that you can use in Xbox. For those in the industry, have a look at it. Okay, you probably already know that. Another trick, another superpower you can use is URL scan.io. Hey, there's a tracking there. There's a check. And there's also see whether it's okay or not. Okay, saying, oh, yes, Google have defined it as not safe. It is a site, and it links a whole lot of people. These are also not only the people who created these tools and made available for everybody are heroes, but you know what? You can make your staff perhaps heroes as well to be able to then use this superpower. I mean, how else would you do it? It's a tool. It's an eye-opening of what's happening outside. Varstole, everybody's going in the industry who's ever used Varstole going, yeah. Yes, why not? How about you have your users become and have that superpower to understand that this is really dangerous, okay? The sample is not, but anyway, that's okay. It was something else that was false positive, that's okay. Well, and this one also as well, there's a cert out there who decided to be able to, okay, we want to collect information of what's happened. We're opening it up, we're spending a bit of time, and you can cuckoo. And there's a whole lot of different superpowers you can have, and to make your users heroes, okay? You can choose the superpower that you want them to have, okay? Pick one, pick them all. Okay, of course I haven't got all of them here, but you've got different ones. You can have the person in there who has the intel, the one that they can be able to outreach, the one that can stretch themselves really well. Okay, you get what I'm meaning. All these are different superpowers you can provide. It's a bit of a mix because, you know, at policy, I understand, perhaps you don't want your users to spend a lot of time on doing the phishing, but perhaps that's something that you need to think about. Make them superheroes. It's a bit of a tell. You know, so let's creatively extrapolate. Okay. Now, how do we be able to? What happens in the future? Again, this is an extrapolation. This is base ideas, what we talked about. Okay, we're going to build it up about the fact that there is a possibility of making relations of different organizations, and then we're going to bring it over. And then we talked about leakage of databases, and we're able to get craft that email really well. Phishing. So I'm still on about phishing to be able to get that click. So increase the database that you've got. Well, there's lots of databases you can have. This one's still available, you know. It's still the whole stack of them, you know. There's databases you can start from a base from 2017 stuff. Okay, there's anti-collection that you can have. Not that I'm telling you that you should do this. I'm just saying that it's out there, and don't be surprised of the extrapolation we're going to be doing. Okay, there's different types of things that you've got. You've got increased databases. You've got different things that are coming online all the time. Corporate leaks of individuals. In those files, perhaps there's hr.zip, hr1.zip, hr2.zip, people, organization, what they do. Perhaps there's email traces. Oh, that's nice, that's great. So I can do in-person conversation. That is a gold mine, even if it's soft ID, it's a gold mine. And you know what? Maze, they're in the business. They're in the business of saying like, hey, hang on, all the way down to the ransomware. Give us some money or we will release your information. And here's the hard part to think about. What do you do? Do you pay or do you not pay? Here's the thing, here's the tree diagram. You get done because of phishing, ransomware, it gets all through here. And what you need to do is you need to either choose to pay, which is highly recommended not to, but there's the other thing. If you don't pay, they release the data. For a certain organization, which is in logistics, this is the 5th set that has been released on 13th of September. Okay, so what they do is they release the information, and then guess what? You can then start it's available publicly, and people start getting information, crafting emails, and making those emails more believable for that click. It's a lose-lose situation, isn't it? Unless we band together and try to be heroes as well. Okay, only related in thought. Okay, the 2 particular pieces of information I provide. Okay, IDB. Okay, and the fact that there's another organization that we seem to have forgotten script only one particular social media item. There's one where they've made databases and made available, and please contact such and such for a demo and the sample data. So it sounds like they were selling this. Character database, what kind of person they are. Perhaps they're going to spread things, okay? Institutional library, information database, and relation database. All this is to be able to understand who, when, how, why. For someone who wants to make phishing, perfect, I'd love to be able to know that. I'd love to be able to know all of this and amass it. What I'm trying to get at is perhaps companies are doing this, and perhaps all the database are available to be able to do this. So what I can see is that things are going to get worse. What else is ransomware? Do you know how I talk about the double quarter pounder with cheeseburger? Well, guess what? You know what? At the end, it was ransomware. Well, Cerberus, banking Trojan, they're sending the code out, apparently, and for all of these banks. Okay, it's available. Have a look at it, ZDNet, and then you'll find on Pastebin as well. So there's a whole lot of things that are happening. Fish is not just phishing, it's nasty. So here we go. I reject reality and substitute my own. Well, I'm going to go a little bit further on. I'm going to distort it a little bit more, and I'm going to go extend beyond a little bit. Okay, and so what I'm going to be talking about is perhaps this. Perhaps if they're able to organize themselves so much, let's say New South Wales doesn't like very much of Queensland. We'll just talk about something which is internal in Australia, perhaps. Well, perhaps, we like each other, really. It's okay. But this is, again, beyond reality. And they really don't like the fact that Queensland is on its feet, perhaps, and are wanting to do some attack and try to get money out of it. So they send fish, and they concentrate pretty much on one locality. Well, the locality has two options: either pay up or get their information dispersed, which then helps to other people to get in their organization and then ask them to pay up. And that effect is there's going to be a payment and there's going to be a shift of wealth. That could be a bit of a problem. That's just a really extrapolation. Anyway, however it applies to you, that's up to you. But eyes on prize. You know what? Fish, at the start, it's only the beginning. And yes, I've ripped off that particular item, okay? But really, business email compromise is only the start of the journey, and I've used almost verbatim from a person that takes and makes shell, okay? But what we need to know is that we can all be heroes. We can all figure out, hey, hang on, we got a purpose. This is not something that we need to brush off. This is something that is really, really important that we take care of. Because here's the vicious cycle. It comes to ransomware, we need to pay up. If we don't pay up, our information goes out there. If the information goes out there, then it's something that people can pick up to be able to then further attacks, either on yourself or on other organizations that are interacting with you. So it's really important. We can be heroes. It is a bit dangerous to empower every user to do it. Perhaps they'll spend a bit too much time, perhaps they will. It is a bit of scary to be able to say, look, we're going to give a prize for how many people actually report a fish, because perhaps they're going to spend their time. But we need to be able to take that risk, to be able to choose the superpower that we can find and all be heroes. We can be heroes. If I would like to be able to open the floor to any questions, that'd be fantastic.
Cool. All right, I'm on. Just a little bit of lag with the platform. Thank you so much, Geoff.
Yes, totally. You got me.
Great. Technology is very difficult. Right, so thank you so much for that, Geoff. And I'll just like to say, as Melbourne, I think we should be launching a targeted phishing attack against Queensland.
We're ready for you.
I'm very, very sure that AusCERT will pick me up in a heartbeat. There were some really, really good key takeaways there. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm definitely going to have a whole lot of this, keep a hold of the slides there. There weren't too many. Actually, there weren't any questions in the chat. However,
yes.
One thing I would like to do is, for everyone in the chat that's still in here, is to say thank you to AusCERT for being our heroes and throughout the year. And I want to say from the bottom of my heart, honestly, thank you very much, AusCERT. What you guys do in the industry is absolutely second to none. So I want to say thank you. One question in there. What is recommendations for doing phishing campaigns?
For doing a phishing campaign? You mean you really want to get to an action, or you want to teach your users something? Suppose you're trying to say teaching your users something. Well, I would hope you imagine that may not be the best thing to do. Why? Again, these are the ideas I'd like to be able to share, not particularly a view of an organization. Just think about it. If you do that, you're going to desensitize people about the phishing. Okay, you also have to tell them. So what is my recommendation is, you spend more time on the monitoring, you spend more time and your resources on that, and provide a monthly report, because people have leaky memories about whether there's a policy, whether there's user awareness. You need to be able to be there. So if you want a campaign, make the campaign of reporting all the time about what's happening in the organization, where you've stopped it, makes the IT look good. Where you weren't able to stop it and the users were able to stop it, that makes the users look good. Where you weren't able to stop it at all, and then the incident responders were able to then take care of it, that makes the incident responders look really good, okay? And then to be able to then make everybody in the organization a hero.
Thank you very much. So we'll have to wrap it up there because we're a little bit short on time, but sure. I thank you again very much to AusCERT. So that concludes. Yeah, sick and tired of hearing my voice like I am. You are in a good place then. I'm no longer speaking for the rest of the day. But we will be coming back at 2:25 for the speed debate, which experiences of AusCERT, which I always love, and then closing remarks at 3:25. So again, I'd love to thank the sponsors. So please do go through and have a look at the sponsor hub when you do get a chance, and have a chat to some of those very, very fantastic people who are heroes in developing products to help us all secure our networks. That's it from me. Thank you, and best of luck